Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're halfway through the year of 2021, and with movies officially coming back to theaters, in this video I'm gonna give you guys my top 5 movies from 2021 so far. Before we get into it, let me know your top 5 movies of 2021 in the comments down below. Also, while you're down there, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or I go live. But without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Before we get into my top 5, I want to talk about the rest of the movies that I watched this year and give you guys a little bit of my thoughts on it. I watched 13 total movies this year, so really quickly I'm going to go through movies 13 through 6 for you guys. So number 13 on the list is To All the Boys Always and Forever. Now you might be wondering, Aryan, why did you watch this movie? Well, I'm wondering the same thing. I just ended up being on Netflix one day, I turned it on, wasn't the biggest fan, I don't recommend you watch it. Number 12 on the list is Mortal Kombat. I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. It's fun, it has gore, but overall the story is super boring. And number 11 is Godzilla vs. Kong. Again, super fun, but it doesn't focus on the monsters enough and it relies way too much on the humans. At number 10 is Cherry. Cherry was just way too long. It was almost 3 hours. I think it was pushing 3 hours. It was an absolutely terrible story. It had a good concept, but it was executed very poorly. Pacing was terrible, but Tom Holland's performance was really well done. If it wasn't for Tom Holland's performance, it would probably be the worst movie of this year so far. Number 9 is Cruella. Now, you guys know me, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. In my review, I did say that it gives me Joker vibes, except now Disney has to make Cruella the protagonist, so it doesn't really make sense to me. And number 8 is a movie that I just recently watched, F9. I thought this movie was so much fun, but it just wasn't really my vibe. The story was not that good at all. But at the end of the day, it was super fun, and I'm not gonna kind of shy away from that just because the story was basic and it was kind of bonkers. I had a lot of fun, and just know I haven't seen any of the other Fast and Furious movies at all, so people are saying, oh, we're getting tired of the same action over and over. I've never seen this franchise, so I really did like this movie when it came to the action, but overall it was just a super basic movie. Number 7 is Malcolm and Marie. I actually liked this movie a lot when it initially came out, but over time I've rewatched it one more time after the initial viewing, and I'm not the biggest fan. It's still a pretty good movie, but I don't know, it's just not really my thing. It really felt like it was Oscar baiting at a certain point, so I'm just not a big fan, but it's still a pretty good movie. At number 6 is Army of the Dead. This was Zack Snyder's movie of this year. I really loved it. The zombies, the action, the story, it was all great. I will say it was pretty cheesy at times, but for a zombie movie, it was very well done, and it's again one of my favorites of this year so far. But now we're going to be getting into the top 5. So at number 5 is the new Amazon Prime original movie, The Tomorrow War. So you guys can check out my review for this movie in the description down below. You can also check out the links for all of the movies that I mentioned in this video if they have a review on my channel in the description down below. But The Tomorrow War was actually pretty great. It was a summer blockbuster and really gave me everything that I wanted from it. I did go in expecting some plot holes here and there because the only thing I knew was that it involved time travel. And when you have time travel in movies, there's always going to be plot holes. And there were some pretty massive plot holes in this movie. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but just know there were a lot of plot holes, so you can't think about it too much. You do have to suspend your disbelief a lot, but overall this movie was super fun. I said in my official spoiler-free review that the aliens were really poorly done, but I actually think they were well done now. Now that I look back at it and I see videos and stuff again, I actually thought the aliens looked really cool, and I also like that apparently in the marketing, people didn't see anything of the aliens. I never saw any of the trailers, I never saw any of the marketing, so I didn't really know, but people said that they kept the aliens a secret for a long time and no one really knew who the antagonist of the movie really was or what the goal of it was, and it was just to save the future. So I really like what they did with this movie. This movie was overall nothing super crazy, but it was a fun summer blockbuster and I really enjoyed it. Now in 4th place is something that I actually wasn't expecting to be in this position, and that is Luca. I actually really like this movie. I don't really get the hate for it. I think it's great because it's a smaller world. It doesn't really depend on these massive fantastical elements. I mean, it does have sea monsters, but the fantastical elements aren't super huge like superheroes or dinosaurs or talking bears or whatever. It's fun, it's grounded, and it's kids. It's just kids in a small town. It's nothing grand, it's nothing massive. It's just a story of 2 kids wanting to be who they really are, which is they're trying to fit in with humans. And then at the end of the movie, they realize that they don't have to be these people for these people. They can be themselves. And so I really like the message behind this movie. This was one of Pixar's most polarizing films, at least from what I've seen online. A lot of people really hate it, and I just don't understand the hate. Again, I don't think it's anything top tier Pixar. I don't think it's anything bad either. I think it's a pretty fun movie. My entire family enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And the people that really criticize it just say that the third act is super boring. The second act just drags on for way too long, etc., etc. I think the movie was fine. I will say the beginning of the third act, after the first like initial big Pixar twist that's always classic, is that I think after that point it just really slowed down for no reason. I feel like they should have kept on that momentum and kept that like sad momentum going until the end when it kind of ramps back up. So I thought that was a very poor choice when it came to the pacing of the movie, but other than that, I really enjoyed this one. Now in third place is another animated movie, and that's Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon came out earlier this year, and I really do love this movie. I actually want to rewatch it pretty soon. It's very well done. Now, I do think that the animation design of this movie wasn't anything super unique, but it's not a Pixar movie. I think it's just a Disney animation movie, so I don't really expect anything crazy and drastic when it comes to changes in animation style. But I will say the animation was fine. It wasn't anything different, but it wasn't bad by any means. The way that the dragon looked and the way that these different dragons looked and their appearances were all so unique. And I love the scale at which Disney really did their animation. They didn't make them seem like grand monstrous characters. They kind of put them at a mid-level, which I really like. I also really like the goal of getting the jewels and stuff like that. All of that was super cool. The way that Raya's dad in the beginning, like that whole thing that happened to him, I'm not going to spoil it, but that whole thing, how it sets up the movie, just overall, this movie is super well executed in my opinion. I don't think there's really anything bad about this movie. Now in second place is probably a very controversial one, but in my opinion is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now you can check out my full 22-minute spoiler review about this movie, but overall I really like this one. It's not my favorite superhero movie by any means, but it's still an absolutely phenomenal superhero movie. In part because it's 4 hours long. Other than that, I think it's still pretty good. The first 2 hours are super boring, and the main reason for that is just because we've already seen that story be told. The first 1.5 to 2 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League is just the original Justice League, but in Zack Snyder's footage. That's all that it is. And then the new story continues, or the new story is kind of started after the resurrection of Superman, and that's after that 2-ish hour mark, I think. I don't necessarily remember the exact timing, but it's about halfway or a little bit after halfway through the movie, and that's where the movie really picks up. If Zack Snyder made this a 2-hour movie and only focused on what he was going to add to the movie, that would have been great, but obviously he wanted to redo the whole thing, which does make sense to me. Also, there were so many parts that were dragged on, so much slow-mo, and I know I'm talking so much negative about this movie, but I really do love it. I think it's a great movie. I just don't think it can be put against like all these other movies because it's 4 hours long. I don't think it's allowed to be compared. Like, it's just not fair to compare a 4-hour movie to say a 2-hour or 2-hour and 30-minute movie. It just doesn't make sense. But at number one, in first place of my favorite movie of 2021 thus far is A Quiet Place 2. Now, other than Dune releasing later this year in October, I don't expect any movie to pass A Quiet Place 2 in my rankings for 2021 movies. I think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. I think it might be better than the first one, and the first one is absolutely legendary in my books. I love the crew. I love what they did with this movie. I love the concept of this movie. I love the monsters. I like everything that revolves around this movie. Now, another reason why I love this movie so much is because it was my first movie back in theaters since the pandemic had started, so that does play into a little bit, but I think A Quiet Place 2 is miles ahead of any of the other movies that have released this year so far. Now, obviously that might change because later on this year, we're getting some absolute bangers like The Eternals, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Dune, James Bond. We're getting a plethora of movies and enough to keep us satisfied, but as of now, A Quiet Place 2 is my number one movie of this year. Again, the concept of this movie is so unique and they managed to keep it fresh in this one, and that's what I really like about it. When they first announced they're doing a sequel, I was like, this isn't gonna work. I'm not even gonna go see this. I booked tickets for opening night. I went and I loved it because John Krasinski put such a unique twist to this already told story and managed to continue it. We already know about these monsters. We know their weakness, so why can't they just go around killing them? Well, they have to get to safety. Their safety has been compromised. There's a bunch of different aspects. And without spoiling anything major for you guys, this movie is awesome and you need to go see it. But yeah, guys, those are my 5 favorite movies of 2021 thus far. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like rating down below. Also, let me know your favorite 5 movies of 2021 in the comments down below. Again, while you're down there, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or go live. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.